General Weygand has called the Battle of France is over. The Battle of Britain is about to begin.
Welcome to the Lead Pursuit Podcast, a podcast covering Blood Red Skies, a game of World War II aerial combat. Thanks for joining us tonight. Tonight, we have Brett and Chris back on the podcast together, which that's going to be enough trouble. But we're joined by our special guest, John Russell. And John's title is the Event Commander for North America for Warlord.
Hey guys, thanks for the invite. Really happy to be here.
Awesome. Glad to have you on.
Hey John, this is Brett. Thanks so much for joining us. It's awesome to have you.
Thank you.
John. This is Chris.
Thank you very much.
Really glad to have you on the podcast.
Excellent. I'm excited. This is going to be awesome.
Excellent. So what we want to talk about tonight is a couple different topics. And I know our listeners probably want us to bombard you with questions about MiG Alley, ground attack, all these future things coming up. But we do want to talk a little bit about what you are supposedly the expert on, which is growing the hobby. So we talked to Mitch a couple weeks ago, and Mitch can't stop saying good things about you, which obviously Chris and Brett and I can't understand because I think we hate you for getting us into another game. And
I just went for pizza, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's Chris's line, and he'll stick to it. But we really want to start off and talk a little bit about what you saw at Historicon and some other conventions about bringing people into the game and people's experience there. Because unfortunately, I kind of cut Mitch off the other day when he was talking, and he was telling us about four of his grognard friends that rolled up that probably were skeptics about could Blood Red
tankers. They're all tankers.
Yeah, excellent. Well, how did that game go? Because I was kind of disappointed he didn't beat you around the table, but he said it was a good game.
Well, the bottom line is you got to remember the golden rule: always let the Wookiee win.
Exactly.
When I was over. Last, it was only in March, just this past March, we were playtesting some of the MiG Alley, and we did 4 games in 3 hours, and I was MiGs most of the time, and the MiG is a powerful aircraft in that game, and if you can know your tactics, you have to do this, you have to change the switch in your head from pistons to jets, because it's a whole nother tactic, and
absolutely,
once you get it, that those MiGs can just tear into things, and if you position yourself right. But on the flip side, you want people to enjoy themselves. It's nothing worse than watching a brand new novice FNG guy walk into the table and just get slaughtered, and the guys start laughing about it. I'm like, well, you just lost another player there. Great move there, pal. And there's a couple times I could have tried to push or something, but it was fun to try to get these guys involved, and they were tankers, and they had a ball. I think at the end, they grudgingly wouldn't say it out loud, but I think they had a good time. And if you looked in their eyes and you talked to them, they had a good time. And it's the great thing about Blood Red Skies and MiG Alley is it's got, and there's other games we used to do in the past with Warlord. It's got it can fill a time slot. You got 20 minutes, you got 30, 3 hours. Blood Red Skies and MiG Alley will fit that in spades. And then it's got I call a cinematic effect. You can see the movie in your head.
Right.
And it's a great, easy, the system, it's intuitive. Once you figure it out, it's easy. My record right now so far is at NashCon last year. I was in my booth and I had 11 guys walk up to my booth and said, "We want to learn how to play Blood Red Skies." I'm like, well, okay, got to bust open another box because I only got 12 aircraft.
Exactly.
So 11 guys, 22 aircraft, from hello, my name is John, this is Blood Red Skies, to knock it off, game over, 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Nice.
22 aircraft. It was amazing. And after about the third turn, it was intuitive, and they got it. So same thing happened in MiG Alley. And Mitch had some great painted up MiGs and Sabres. It's all about the slash attack and get in position. Even more so, position. Lufbery always said, it's altitude is life, and in this game, it's proven with the Sabres and the MiGs. It's really you have to have that altitude to go into the fight and then slash and get out. And Andy said Right now, he's only going to do MiGs and Sabres unless, there's an interest.
Oh, there's a ton of interest.
People are screaming for meteors. People are screaming for Panthers.
Hold that thought for a second, because I want to reattack on one thing. I mean, and I always feel bad when Chris and I refer to Blood Red Skies as a beer and pretzels game. But I think we do that a lot as really kind of a compliment, because it's something that you can pick up quickly. Take somebody who is not an experienced war gamer, throw them in it, and they enjoy it. We saw a number of guys that were experienced 40K players and then not experienced war gamers at all, that within, a turn or two, they'd picked it up, and, it was a lot of fun for people to push the airplanes they wanted to around the table and not feel constrained by a lot of realism.
You didn't have to dig up the rule out of the rule book. It was all in the card or the cheat sheet.
It was all the card. So when guys said, "Hey, we want to fly Lend-Lease Wildcats," I just threw them my Wildcat card from the box, and we did that instead of Spitfire. So I think there's a lot of fun to that.
I call it.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, please.
I was say that really kind of leads into why I think so many people want the other aircraft is they've realized that it's fun to play with the aircraft in the game, and they all kind of want that cinematic feel. They've either seen movies with these other aircraft or kind of like Brett read a lot of the history where you go, wow, having Sky Knights shooting down MiGs in night combat, that kind of sets the mind going about what could be done.
Well, I always think of it as chess and space, and I go back to that old 80s game Othello, easy to learn, lifetime the master. It's the ability and the scope to play, and even if Andy doesn't do anything more, people are going to come up with some stats and some different ideas for these other aircraft. Now, when we were playing, we got into the discussion about missiles and stuff, and Andy's very, very hesitant, and this is just me, John Russell, saying, but Andy was talking about he's hesitant to go into missile age because how do you do it? Does then the missiles get their cards? Do you want to do it? And after a while, it's all, beyond line of sight, and it's there's a lot of fun. But I mean, and don't get me wrong either. I mean, there's some great games out there. I personally love Check Your Six, and it's great. And
that was going to be what I was going to compare it to. That I think people may sometimes confuse BVR missile attacks and all this stuff with a level of complexity that. Well, we're not really simulating gunshots very well in this game either. In the level of complexity, we're super generalizing it, and I think that's kind of what makes it fun. I love going through the Check Your Six source book, and you're looking at the table for each of the air-to-air missiles. You're like, wow, this is almost like SPI's Air War. Not quite.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to do that, or that old.
Almost like it.
Yeah, it's SPI's that one, and then there was you remember old TAC Air and all that other ones, and from the old Project Warrior days that you had we had those games.
But what's funny? I kind of liken Blood Red Skies, and it's only hit me this in the last week or so. I don't know if you ever played A-10 Tank Killer. That was a combination card game and counters. There's this strange mix of how the game was played on a table. But Blood Red Skies reminds me of that with miniatures. It's got an ease of play, but that all it needs to make something more complex is another deck of cards or another, marker for flak or whatever. So I think there's a lot of depth there.
Well, you had air superiority and you had air attack. Those old GW games that were fantastic. Had the cards. It was great. What I'd go into when I first go into a Blood Red Skies demo, I just use the planes. I don't use any cards. It's just straight up 4-on-4 or 2-on-2. And I give them a little bit of attention when I make them roll for their position of the aircraft, and I make sure that they're separated just enough that even if they are disadvantaged, by the time they get in the engagement range, they're all advantaged. So it becomes that maneuver thing. And when you're done with the game, you say, "What'd you think?" And they go, "Oh, it was kind of fun." I said, "Okay, basically all you got was a hamburger and a bun. You want a little lettuce, a little onion, a little ketchup? Now let's add little layers into the game, and let's put in, doctrine cards. Let's put in the ace cards. Let's put in the tactics cards. Let's put in those equipment cards now that we have in the booster packs.
Right.
That's, now you got your lettuce. Now you got your onion. Now you got your tomato. Now you got a Big Mac, a little special sauce, and you're ready to roll. So you went from a plain old hamburger and a bun to, oh my God, I could eat this forever.
And Brett really can talk to it, because I know we played up there with no cards or anything like that. It was just the aircraft and the basic rules. Brett, how easy was it to quickly transition 2 or 3 games later to full cards?
It was easy. I mean, in one night, we, a handful of games, we easily had the the order of operations down for the game, the sequence of events that you take, the pilot actions. So I had that pretty much all sorted. We had the the basic movement and all that stuff worked out. I mean, with confidence, where we felt like we knew how we were supposed to play, and then we were just working on trying to get better at tactics and stuff like that. So
aren't we all?
Yeah, I didn't think the cards was a hard part to pick up at all. I mean, that for me, I like the card mechanic because coming from
but you're an old Magic gamer, aren't you?
Whoa! Hey now, we're all friends here. What are you doing?
Like I said, we hit shower, we hit early.
Thank you.
You don't live in your mom's basement; you live in your own basement. So
absolutely, that's only because that's where my wife makes me game.
Yeah, exactly.
What did we do wrong in the beginning? There was some basic rule component, maybe something with the boom chits or something that we weren't doing exactly right, but we figured it out after the weekend we played.
We weren't taking the second boom chit because it was Doug's pathological problem with the boom chit mechanic that Andy can beat me up on. But that's fine. We were not taking that second boom chit. But in our defense, I think in a lot of those games we played, especially when you had 8v8, there were a heck of a lot of boom chits accumulated with nobody shot down.
Yep. And that hour and 45-minute game I played with all those guys in Ashcon, only one aircraft was shot down.
Yeah. And I didn't, for me personally, the Doctrine card, the Homeland card, taking boom chits away every time that card comes up, that was one I didn't know about. So I thought I could only play it once. So that was a big learning curve for me too. You were playing Germans with numbers against me. So you had the 2 extra planes. I'm like, oh man, all my Homeland shit gives me is one boom shit, at the beginning of the game. I'm like, oh no, I can play that every time it comes up.
Yeah, that's a mind opener too when you finally figure out that after each aircraft's movement, you refresh your deck. And that's just a killer. Just wow. I mean, I don't have to burn these cards. No, they'll come back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or, and it took us a while to figure out the combos, but when you start playing the bonus cards in there and you say, okay, I'm going to give up this great climb card just so I can hang on to the theater or the Doctrine card. That's yet another layer of tactics that I enjoy. It's not a Grognard's not going to walk in there and go, oh, well, it's a perfect representation of the ME-109's capability to outclimb people. But we're not looking for that. We're looking for a player to make a tactical decision. Do I ditch the card? Do I keep the card? And is now the right time to play it? Because I think it was, I don't remember whether it was Chris or Brett, one of you guys held onto your hand for like the entire game. You were so afraid to burn cards. Like, I got to save these perfect ace cards for just the right moment.
Well, it's how do I get that advantage? How do I get that advantage?
Absolutely. Well, Brett, I know you had a couple questions of things that you were going to ask about, where Warlord was going with some of the products for Blood Red Skies.
So, well, let me just relate kind of my first experience with, as we've cracked open the starter kit and played a bunch of games and stuff. And I don't think my experience is unique. I'm sure a lot of people have the same sentiment I do. But when we came to Adepticon and saw the boxes and the extra squadron boxes and stuff, I was, I want to get Luftwaffe. Those are so cool. And it wasn't because of any great knowledge I have of their aircraft or their history or any of that stuff. It's just, I thought they looked cool, right? So that's what I wanted to do. So we got home with all that stuff, busted open the box and, see the scenario scenario missions that come with the box set. And we were real eager to play all that stuff. And anyway, then started painting everything, which was a, huge thing for me. I really got a lot out of that, but it forced me to, or it inspired me, I guess is probably the right word, to do a lot of background research and read a lot of books and dive into some stuff I had laying around the house that I didn't realize I had, to learn a lot more about what's going on. And I would have done that, on my own, but it was because of the hobby component, right? So I had 110s and I had 109s and I wanted to paint them up right. And I was like, hey, I wonder, Battle of Britain, what were the, probably they had different, squadron markings and, things like that might have made the aircraft unique. And, I learned a ton in just the first few weeks of diving into that stuff and starting to paint my models. And so anyway, I really had a lot of fun doing all that. And then when we played, like we've already talked about, that the rules were really easy to figure out and start having a lot of fun with right away. And like you said, super cinematic game, right? Mm-hmm. With all our models on the table looking cool and with a nice mat on the table. I mean, it was like you said, it was like a movie on our table and it was a ton of fun. And so that kind of leads me to the biggest question I had, since we've been talking back and forth among the three of us. We've been saying, hey, I wonder if there's any plans Warlord might have to somehow maybe release a booklet or a book of some kind that just has scenarios based on, actions that happen in different eras of the war. So maybe, more expanded Battle of Britain scenarios to play out. I think that kind of thing for me would certainly activate the chip on my head and drive me to collect and paint a lot more stuff. And if there were things like that for, each era of the war, different theaters or whatever, oh man, I would go nuts, because maybe I'm a completionist, but I would say, oh man, I have to have that squadron, and I have to build, all the components.
Well, you're a gamer, so you're a collector, so you want everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
so anyway, that was kind of the top of mind thing for me to ask you about.
Sure, no worries. There's a couple things. The rabbit holes you go down when you start looking at things and you start researching, and I can caveat that to Korea, because man, we thought we were going one way and ended up going a couple other ways. But you start looking at aircraft and you start finding out, there's this aircraft and this aircraft. How can we get in the game? And it's great to then you further your knowledge through a game, historical knowledge just through a game, and it's fantastic. And then the other little thing is, why they're called boom and zoom chips, right?
Why don't you tell us?
Well, Andy likes the Luftwaffe, if you can't tell, and they had the boom and zoom tactic. So the boom chits are for the, when you get hit, and zoom is when you're finished. So it's zoom and boom chits. So
well, there you go. See, I didn't know that.
That's where they got the names from. I think we've already answered your question that during our D-Day campaign, we're releasing those scenarios every week of new specific scenarios for not only just bolt action and cruel seas, but there's also blood red sky scenarios in there. I love your idea of a scenario booklet and then having, different time frames. Brilliant idea. Right now, it's people keep asking me, he's like, you guys are doing this and you're doing that. You got black powder, you got blood red skies, you got Hail Caesar. How can stop? I mean, my wallet's screaming and I can't focus. And it's just, John's favorite term is, history's always happening. History's always, his history's always being made. And we want to try to find, when you get that lightning in the bottle, you want to keep going. And people, there's so much to cover in World War II. And soon after, and the idea of the scenarios is great. The idea of these different aircraft. That's why we're putting out the booster packs, kind of, because there's some planes out there we're going to get to eventually. The P-38, the P-40, the P-47, the 109 Gs, and the Bettys and 262s, and of course then we go to Italy and France, but we'll talk about that later. But we've got there's stuff out there that just needs to be covered because there's so much out there. So the Facebook page is a real good place because they put some stuff out there. But the equipment packs, the booster packs are cool because we're also throwing that other element of equipment in there now.
Right, and that's been a huge one for me. I like it, and even though even I think the cards kind of caveat it like Malcolm Hood. They go, okay,
Malcolm Hood, yep.
Not everybody had the Malcolm Hood, but everybody introduced something very similar to it when they realized, we need better visibility than a flat panel.
Except for the 109, they had that damn cage the whole time.
Those poor bastards just could fly different airplanes.
Yeah, I think your idea of different scenarios is brilliant, and that's a good one to ask Andy, and he'd love that. And why not have people throw their ideas for scenarios in and make sure it's play tested? And then we can have a PDF of nothing. It's so cool in the day and age that we have. Is before you had to contact the company and they'd send you a packet in the mail, and somebody 2 to 4 weeks after you sent your quarter in or whatever it was to get the PDF, you'd get it maybe. But now you can just download it. And
I always laugh because I think about all the old Avalon Hill scenarios for Squadron. You used to always have these random packs that would come out in a while, and they're awesome. And some of them you can't even find anymore. But you'd always wait for that issue of the general magazine. So you'd flip it over and go, "What's the new squad leader scenario?"
And exactly.
I'll be honest. I don't think I probably played more than 10% of them, but it was cool because a lot of times it was a battle you didn't know about, or some new unit was introduced where they would say, "Okay, hey, you're going to use the counter for a Tiger tank, but it represents this variant." And there were always some neat things in that.
Well, me and my buddy used to play that a lot, and one of our favorites is old Buckhole Station. When I was over in Germany, I actually went through Buckholes, and I stopped at the town sign and took a picture and sent it back to him. He just started laughing his ass off because, there's Buckholes, and there's the old Buckhole Station.
God, that brings back memories.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, jeez.
But I think the scenario thing is a great idea. I mean, when they brought out Blood Red Skies 2 years ago, holy crap, 2 years ago, they did the Hornet. They did that Hornet attack, and they had that 200 scale Hornet that Derek did a great job building. 4 foot long boat. Vessel. Sorry, Navy guys. Or ship. My dad was an old Navy guy, so I have to be careful. But and they had those, Kates and Val and Zeros attacking with good old Joe Foss and his boys coming off the decks, and then the Wildcats coming. It was great. And
I want you to know that I haven't been listening to a thing you've been saying, because I just had to go back and remember which scenario it was. And by the way, it was scenario 7 out of the original
scenario
squad
7.
leader.
That's it. That's it.
So, but your point about doing individual scenarios that are historically based is awesome. I think that's something that the community would want. I know Brett, that really drives his hobby kind of machine thing, and for me it drives the learning a different part of the battle that I thought I knew about, but no, it's really focused on this very narrow piece of it because it's a scenario. It's not just generically simulating the Battle of Britain or something else.
Sure did like those D-Day scenarios that came out. In fact, I was downloading them and sending them to these guys, sharing them on our messenger chat and stuff. And I was like kind of worried, like, man, I hope I don't lose these. I hope that sometime I can get a collection. That's where the idea probably came from, was after seeing those, like, wow, these are awesome. This is the kind of thing that's going to make me want to build this squadron and this squadron and paint this one. And we're already talking about North Africa stuff, and I'm going to double up on squadron boxes just so I can do whole new paint schemes. And I think
that's kind of the problem, is that Chris and I had this great focus with Brett that we said, okay, we've got Eastern Front covered, we've got Western Front covered. We can at least go play North Africa and fool around with that as Chris is finishing up some of his Russian fighters that he's building.
Yep.
But so this little teaser came out that said Pacific Arena might be a focus for 2020, including a new starter set. So I'm going to put you on the spot and ask for a spoiler there. Should we be painting a lot more Pacific instead of North Africa?
Maybe.
All right. That's a very generic answer.
We're looking to move into. That's the glory of World War II, is that there was so much of it going on, and right now, I don't know if you've noticed, but we have this theme that it's Axis allies, Axis allies, Axis allies. Last month we did Axis to Japanese. This month, allies to Russian.
Right.
Next month, Axis. So you'll kind of see that 109Gs, 262s. Then I think it's P40s and P47s. So, and of course, if we do P40s, what's the ace we're going to do? Anyone?
Oh, I'm going to let someone else guess. Exactly.
Tex Hill.
Yeah.
And then P47s, it's got to be Gabby.
Yep.
So we'll have those, and it's funny when I lay out
that. Make me ask the card. Do I get to play him twice? Can I play him in a saber as well?
Look at the card for Galland. Look at the Galland's card. If you can get it, that guy's out of print now. But if you can get Galland's card,
Brett
look at his card.
I think all three of us
have. yeah, they're gone. There's a thing on there. It says Jet on there as well. So Gabby, of course, his card would have Jet on there. Gabby's one of those doubles. It's what's really great about these is people start looking into the history and they start thinking about what they could do and how they're going, and you can really knuckle down into an expansion. For example, what I'm doing, one of my favorite pastimes, or one of my rabbit holes I went down maybe way too far in, is a bolt action Saint Nazaire Operation Chariot.
Right.
I ended up building a whole Nazaire port and researching. All my bolt action guys got the names of the actual commandos on the back. I contacted one of the guys who wrote the book. I got an autograph from one of the guys that participated in the raid, and I set that up. But now what I can do with Cruel Seas, I got the Campbell. Warlord was going to produce a Campbelltown here pretty soon, and you can do that. But also what was going on in the town of Nazaire nearby was a harassment nighttime raid by the Royal Air Force. And now you can get a Royal Air Force bombers going on there, and I'm modifying some of my Me-110s into Nakyagas.
Yep.
With the aerial up front. So now I can do a scenario of the Nakjagers fighting the harassment bombing at the same time that the bolt action is going on, at the same time that the Cruel Seas is going on. So you got this three-way event that can go crazy, and you can do the same thing for Guadalcanal. And there's so much so much, a lot of people focus on Europe because they're just like us, and the Pacific was so different, and I think that's what was great about the Pacific series. Like the Blanda Brothers helped people expand and know their knowledge of not just the airborne, but Europe, but the Pacific really opened to people's minds of just how nasty that was.
Oh yeah, and I think a lot of people they didn't like it as much because it wasn't as relatable. And it's funny because you've got Chris and I that are both Marines that we've been steeped in that historical tradition of Guadalcanal and all that. And we're like, no shocker there.
To this day, I'll never forget going to see Saving Private Ryan at Camp Lejeune. And I can't remember what I was in the Marine Corps at the time, but there was an old retired guy with a World War II hat in there. And he turned around. Me and my wife were just in awe of what that battle, watching Omaha Beach unfold. He turned around to us, looked right at us, and says, "We did that 5 times."
Yes, exactly. Well, and just as a side note, and because there's 2 of you on board, I just want to let you know that me and Steve Smith, the guy who also wrote Korea, we made sure that Sergeant Reckless is in there and she's represented.
Excellent. Well,
there's a figure and everything.
So I always laugh at how many people, and we've talked, I know a number of times with Chris, that people don't know all the history until they suddenly get in there and dig through the rule books and dig through the different ace packs that are sometimes put out and go, oh wow, who are these people that are actually being featured? So that'll be cool.
Yeah. Ace of the Day Kirkwood, and of course everybody knows Pappy, and that's the other thing that's cool about those rule books is we intentionally wrote them in that 40-esque feel, the old Coke ads and that line art, and it sets the pace right from the beginning.
Well, I think it does, and I'll I know we all hate to compare other games and other rule systems, but I think
it's great.
That's another thing that Dust 1947 has done well in their reboot is that they have kept that pulp feel to it, and all the way into their app and everything else. That it's branding, for lack of a better term. You feel like the game belongs in that era, and so it's.
If only would somebody do, and if only would somebody do Luftwaffe 46. Oh wait, I shouldn't say about that.
Exactly.
I shouldn't talk about that now.
That sounds like a wonderful spoiler. I'll have to explore later because that would be kind of fascinating.
Yeah. So it's really cool. And then now we let the cat out of the bag at this weekend, and Andy's been talking about alluding to it. The ground attack rules are just going to, it's, oh my God, the whole nother level of that, and what he's done with that is just phenomenal.
Oh God, I'm a Russian player, so
Sturmovix.
I cannot wait to fly Sturmovix and just blow up tanks. I just cannot wait to eat tanks. And that's been one of my things. One of the things that got me into this game was I played the computer simulation, IL-2 Sturmovik. So actually fly that game on, fly that plane on line. And now the cinematic feel of this game is just, it sucked me right back in. I mean, that whole computer community went away. But then when I started being able to paint 1/200 scale airplanes, and it gave me a reason to go into the basement, dig all of my books on the Russian front out, and start delving into stuff now. So it's been a blast. It's been a blast.
Well, I have to ask you,
ground attack rules.
Yeah, I have to ask you too. You've got Johnny, don't you?
So I do.
Excellent. I love that comic strip.
I've got Johnny. I've got all of Johnny Red's comics. They just showed up from Amazon a couple weeks ago.
And see, that's where I got, Mitch, bless his heart. He loves me and he hates me because every time he sees me, he knows he's buying another game. It's just, he bought Gates of Antares that way. He bought Strontium Dog that way, and he bought Blood Red Skies that way. And it's just the way those games make you feel. And then when I was just talking to him about the Hurricane arc that you can buy. It's one of the comic strips for Johnny. And, we're all 30 plus, 40 plus guys here, and we've all read comic books and graphic novels. That was the first time in my life that a graphic novel had me tearing up at the end of that one, because that was just, it hit me right in the chest, because, it starts off with some young entrepreneur asshole's got all this money, he wants to buy and refurbish this aircraft, and it goes on, and you're just like, damn. And the twists in the book and the art is just great too. It's just,
oh yeah. How did this airplane end up in Russia? Oh, it was just Lend-Lease.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
The story is much deeper than that. I mean, it was bad. That was a really bad. Oh, I was sending pictures to Brett and Doug when we were on our little private Facebook Messenger when I was reading the comic. It was like, you guys got to check this out. The art in it's incredible. So yeah, it was
the stories.
Yeah,
and the story just gets you in the chest. And poor Mitch. I mean, I didn't get into talking about it. I could hear him clacking on his computer. He's okay. I ordered it. He didn't. He was
sucker.
Yeah, exactly. But he's a good guy at heart, and it's just one of those the rabbit holes you can go down and modify. And then the idea is how you can take an aircraft and you can modify it into an ME-110 Nackjager or and the people out there. It always amazes me, the people in this hobby, what they can do painting wise and what they can find out. I discovered, here's a real good tip for you to help speed up your painting. Somebody on the Facebook page started talking about Flory washes. That's Foxtrot Lima Oscar Romeo Yankee Flory, Flory, Flory washes, and I've been screaming about them for the last month now. And this guy. If you look it up on YouTube, it's this British guy. It's a 30-minute video, and he takes a 1/35th scale tank. I think it's a Challenger, and it's a clay-based water-soluble solution. And he goes from one end of that tank to the other, and he's done. The thing's dry. He goes back and rubs it down with either a paper towel or a Q-tip, and it's done. So I had to try a bottle of it, but unfortunately, it's a British company, British thing, and you can buy them in 8-packs from England. Or, thank God, there's a store called High Altitude Hobbies. Maybe I should get some credit from these guys, but High Altitude Hobbies in Leadville, Colorado. I bet you they're selling out of it now. But High Altitude Hobbies in Leadville, Colorado, you can get it for $7 a bottle. You order on Monday, you get it on a Thursday. It comes, it's $7 a bottle, and you get the Flory Wash Pinup Girl sticker. It's about 4 inches square, and I tried it on 4 Corsairs. I airbrushed dark blue on the top, light blue on the bottom, and then I hand painted the rockets. And then I had 4 of them. I started with one, washed them top and bottom, washed each one of them. By the time I was done with the 4th one, I went back to the first one. And when you use this wash, you have to put it in a separate container. You don't want to use it straight out of the bottle because you'll contaminate it. But I brushed it on. By the time I was finished, 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, it was dry. I took that Q-tip, licked it, ran it across my wings, and they were all inked. And it was done. I didn't have to seal them. I didn't have to put a Nuln oil on them. I didn't have to use alcohol afterwards. It was done. And the beauty is, if you mess up, it's water soluble. You just wash the plane off and start again.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Florymodels.org. He's got it on there, and he's a couple Mirage and an F-16, some other ones that looks like it's pretty easy.
Oh yeah, it's going to cut down your painting time in, I don't want to say in half, but damn, it's going to make it. It's going to just kill. I did my 110s in those. I did those Corsairs. I tried it on other models. It's amazing. It's almost as good as contrast paints, I guess. I don't know, or better. I think it's better. But
you had to say contrast paints.
Well, I did. Everybody's.
Don't get Chris all spooled.
Don't get me pulled up on contrast paint.
Well, and here we go again with if it wasn't for them, the Mac Daddies, we wouldn't be around. And God bless them when they didn't crash. It was great because if they ever went down, it would have been like Toys R Us going down. It was. It's they do what they do, and 90% of the people who work for Warlord, me included, used to work for them. So I mean, they had a training mechanism that works, and thank God for them. And when not if, but when you guys get over to Warlord, you're going to see that the lead mile. I mean, literally 50 feet or 50 yards from the doorstep of Warlord, you can hit North Star, Footsore, Lucid Eye, DZ Games, War Games Illustrated, River Horse. A mile down the road's Mantic, 2 miles down the road's Games Workshop, and it's all right there. And they're all pretty much friendly. It's all pretty good, and it's. Every year they come up with something new. I remember, 8, 9, 10 years ago, they came out, this yellow will cover everything. Yeah, well, it didn't quite cover everything. But, there's good guys and bad guys for the contrast, and it's great. And I'm glad I've been painting like that for a long time. Just, you do base colors and you wash and you're done. But this Flory wash, I swear to you guys, this Flory wash is well worth the investment. You're going to love it.
Talking about paints, there's also that rumor that, Warlord's looking at some paint sets to help, people kind of get started with the aircraft, because sometimes it's a little intimidating. I know, at least for Brett and Chris and I, we have a couple brands that we like. So Brett and I were the lazy ones that went out and just grabbed the Vallejo aircraft sets by color, because we're like, hey, what does it say? Battle of Britain? I'm playing a Battle of Britain game. Perfect. Winner. Yep. But some people may not have that luxury, or they may not like working with an airbrush paint on a model like this. what do you think? What do you put the stock in? Is Warlord going to probably do that for the Blood Red Skies piece like they've done for?
Oh yeah, I'm sure we do. We're hooked in with Army Painter, and we've done it for all the bolt action, so there's no reason why we can't roll it over into the aircraft.
Yeah, I like the Army Painter stuff. I swear by it. Chris laughs at me sometimes when I use their strong tone and some other things on my aircraft.
Sure.
But it's what I'm comfortable with. I really like how their paint works on my 28 mil models. So it's easy for me to bring some of that over to the aircraft.
And there's always those ones that, there's the Badger's got some great airbrush lines that I use, and then you can always go to Hobby Lobby and get that ceramic coat for $1 a bottle.
Well, so we kind of have that love-hate relationship where all of us say, "Hey, I found a new paint," and the rest of us like, "Oh, really? We need another one." I'll blame Chris. Normally it's Chris that says, "Hey, look what I just found."
Hey, I went out and bought the MiG paints for the RAF planes just because I wanted to see if they were any good. And I'm going to tell you, those MiG paints are some of the best damn paints I've ever put through my airplane.
Amen, brother. And those guys are awesome at Adepticon. And that's another place you guys got to get to.
I bought the RAF early war set and did my son's Spitfires with them, and I've been using Vallejo for years, but the MiG stuff is top shelf stuff. No mixing, right out of the bottle. It was perfect.
Boom, and that's what Badger does too. And when you guys get to Adepticon.
Again,
that is the Mac Daddy. You've been there. You know what it's like. It's the Mac Daddy because everybody's there with all the paints and all the painters.
I think
Wapple's there and Kathy's there, and it's just.
We'll do something different this year. I mean, I know that that Brett and Chris and I we do love playing Heresy, and we love going to playing Zone Palace and spending some time there. And we'll see how they shuffle around with their change in schedule. But I think what we'd like to see, and we'd love to partner with you guys, is we'd love to have an opportunity to do some more Blood Red Skies stuff there.
Sure.
And maybe actually the good painters like Chris might actually be able to demo to the bad painters like me, some of those techniques and some things in some of the off time.
Well, let's just throw down the gauntlet and say, hey guys, let's do a Friday night bolt action thing. Let's put it out. You promote it, I'll promote it, and say, hey, look, Lead Pursuit and Warlord Games are combining to give you a Blood Red Skies event Friday night. Bring your paints, bring your planes. Let's let's duke it out and have some fun. And Warlord will throw down some prizes, and we can really crack that open and just have some fun.
Sounds like a great idea. I'm all for it.
We're in.
Let's do it.
That was an easy sell.
That's too easy. See, I told you. Mitch told you.
Is there free pizza?
Free pizza. There you go. I'll buy the pizza.
As long as there's pizza, Chris is there. He will teach for hours. That's awesome.
We'll break James and Kathy out of the Wappa Castle, and maybe they come over and show us some paint stuff and bring some of that Florida wash, and it'd be great.
Awesome. Well, what are some of the other things that you think people need to know about in the coming months? I know everyone's obviously spooled up for MiG Alley. We're trying to pace ourselves for when it comes for the airstrike rules, because I guess it's going to be about to December when we're going to see that next.
October.
What are some other things should people kind of be looking for in the Blood Red Skies world?
Well, we're trying to cover as many airframes as we can, but we also realize that we can't get it all there. So that's what the booster packs kind of came out with, the extra stuff. The guys on Facebook put out beta cards a lot. And there's some crazy rules on there that people love and hate. I mean, you get a chance to have the whole network of people, the whole forum, give a chance to think if your rules are good or not. There's some jet rules out there that are okay. A female put out, and some people have said they're great. So you go check those out. Not jet rules like Korea, but I mean Vietnam and stuff. For that VFR stuff. So I mean, beyond the visual range stuff. So that there's that. We're starting to key in on the scenarios. We're starting to key in on the ground attack. The ground attack will open up a whole nother aspect. So now you could do the Blood Red Skies to the, like you put a 1-inch square, 2-inch square on the middle of your board, and you fight to get in there, and you dive into that. And then you switch over into the ground attack or the bolt action, and then you come out of that and you come back up on the board. So you can change worlds basically, and that's something that Andy's been working on. That are in that ground attack rules and some of the scenarios. There's like 9 or 10 more scenarios in that packet. So that comes
absolutely. Well, and you guys have, we really appreciate that you guys have been as forthright as you can with the information and sharing things with us. Once we get ourselves over the hurdle of MiG Alley, I know a lot of people have been asking you and Mitch and other people that have played it. But once we get over the hurdle of that release, I think we're really going to concentrate on what we know about airstrike and kind of helping to answer some of the questions that the rest of the hobby world has about it, because I think it has a lot of potential. Mitch and I go back and forth on it. Obviously, he's a big U.S. Air Force capital I and interdiction kind of guy. Yeah, exactly. So getting him to think about bombs coming off aircraft sometimes. Sometimes he'd rather just do the air-to-air, which I understand. But I think it's going to be an interesting release, and I think that there's a lot of things we'll see in the coming months as you guys have shared some information with us, and we get a chance to play it and kind of tell the rest of the Blood Red Skies community where it's going.
We're obviously all three of us are all in on the MiG Alley, and we'll be painting MiGs here very soon. For the next release, what should I have on my table right now? I've got I do Luftwaffe and I do Japanese. But
well, you said you do Japanese and what?
Japanese and Germans.
Okay. Well, first generation jet will be out before the end of the year, the 262, and I think that's going to be Nowotny. And of course, when we do the a lot of people just kind of look at us cross-eyed. We haven't done a certain individual, but we haven't done his aircraft. So when the 109G comes out, of course, he will enter the board. And that's going to be a whole nother evolution of aircraft.
Are there any boxes I need to be picking up for ground attack specifically?
Well, the Typhoons will come out after that. So we'll have Typhoons and they'll have rockets.
Okay.
Bullfighter's pretty good. The Corsair's got rockets it's molded with rockets on the wing. So that's a good one.
You guys looking for Stuka with the anti-tank guns on it possibly?
I would like to... Yeah, Rudel. Some Rudel. I would like to see that. The Ju-87's got those wheels that you have to tack on, and hopefully they would do a 37 cannon wheel combination, and you could just pop it on there. So that would be kind of cool. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, the 410s. You grab a 410 box. The German 410s, because those were just, all it takes is a little drill and a pin in the front. And I got that 37 in the front nose to take care of things. Air Cobras would be a good one. B-25s. Of course, we don't do those yet,
looking, but Well, you've got the card out there, so I know there's a couple cheap plastic ones that are around there. I think it's worth playing some Pacific scenarios, B-25s, maybe running around the islands and if they get bounced by Japanese fighters.
Oh, sure. And then I don't know if we'll do an Oka quite yet, but that was a whole other thing. And we're talking about, and it was released this weekend about, we're going to do we've got a new resin. It's called Warlord resin. It's not plastic. It's not, it's a nice amalgamation of the medium. And it's not the the fine cast that Games Workshop came out with.
So glad you're not that.
Not fail cast, you mean?
Yeah.
We used to call it crap cast, but and it's not the Reaper flexibility. It's a little more solid. I gotta watch my words.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure it's an already audience. It's stiffer. Okay, so there you go. But
Brett's used to talking about things that are stiffer because
There you go.
It's not bad if it's spooning in the field. If it's squad spooning, that's okay.
Army training, sir.
That's right. That's the fact, Jack. So we got
your body heat's your friend.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. So it's
no matter whose it is.
That's right. That's right. So that's going to be, I think, pretty good to run down.
Cool. Well, you came out with those. I got my expansion pack for the Luftwaffe right away when it came out, and I got some HE-111s and some DO-17s, and I just got base coats on them this past weekend. So I'm going to figure out how to use them as well. So
yeah, if you guys go out there on your travels, try to look and find and dig in those old hobby stores. Golland is not available right now, or probably I think we're done with that run, as well as the Ju-88s. So
right,
those are off our list now, but they're fantastic aircraft, and they're if you can get them, add them to your mix. And the same thing with the old Jenny. Ju-52 was used in so many different places, so many different things. When I picked up mine, the thoughts of scenarios that you guys have talked about before. Not only can we do Crete, now we can also do Stalingrad relief, and we can drop off troops or ammo or whatever. It's just
absolutely.
Or hell, let's do Operation Strasser, which was the last Luftwaffe drop into the Battle of the Bulge, with about 80% green troopers. So that was a win.
Yeah, I think there's so many options when you start looking at some of the planes that are right now harder to get, like Ju-52s. I know the laugh that we always have is that there's a fine line between accumulating these airplanes and having great hobby progress and still not having time to play.
Exactly.
So,
I broke down. Yeah, I broke down. We visit Hobby Lobbies a lot over here. I don't know if you have them out there. But Hobby Lobby's got a nice selection of models and paints and stuff like that. But they also have they get them in sleeves. They get them in sets. You can't order individually, but they get like a 1/200 scale Corsair and a 1/200 scale, I think maybe 250 scale P-50. But they get a 1/200 scale 38. And 38s, that's a damn sexy aircraft, and it's the one that our highest rank, highest ace of all time in the Americas, Bong flew.
right.
And it comes painted. It's $5 a piece, and it's I've been buying them every time I go to Hobby Lobby because I'm gonna do. I think we're doing this big event in Michigan, Michigan GT up at Lansing on October 10th and 11th, and. Jeff,
I had no idea you guys were going to be up here.
If only we knew someone who lived in Michigan.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Weird.
Yeah, and what we're going to do is we were there last year, had a great time, and they've given us the convention tournament to run. So everybody's going to be there Friday, and the tournament is Saturday. But you always want to do something Friday night just to get you ready, get your juices flowing. So we're going to run a palate cleanser, I call them, and it's the old outrider days. Me and Jeff and a lot of us are old outriders. So what we're doing is we're working on getting up 2 tables. They're going to be 4x8, 4x10s. One table will have 4,000 Japanese points on one side and 4,000 points of Marines on the other side, bolt action wise. And the other table will be a crap ton or ass load of aircraft from the Japanese and from the Americans, 38s, Wildcats, Hellcats. We're going to use Wildcats as Hellcats. We're just going to have a ton of everything's painted. You just walk up and grab a squadron. You just walk up and grab a squad of guys, and you just play as long as you want. Then you walk away, and that way it just gets you in that mindset, gets you ready. And that's the 10th, 11th of October up in Lansing, and then the next day we're going to have a bunch of bolt action fun and games going on with. Table sponsored from Sarissa and Black Site Studios and Military Building Authority and Sarissa, and TT Combat. We're teaming up with them. And in the meantime, going on, I'm going to run the Yamamoto scenario. So that's just going to be.
That would be a fun.
Oh yeah, come on, right? Some zeros, some P-38s, and some Bettys. What could go wrong?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's one of those that's just. It's a great little event. It's a cool little quirky little hotel, and we're looking forward to that. And then I've got some guys out there that are really, I call them my raiders, and they help us out. So we're able to hit different places. For example, the same weekend that I'll be at ReaperCon on the 31st of August to the 3rd of September during the Labor Day weekend, one of my raiders, Jay Casper, is going to be up at Tacticon running events just like me. So we're able to cover 3 or 4 events on the same weekend instead of just one.
Nice.
I'm really looking forward to that Michigan GT, and it's going to be a hoot.
Well,
and then, of course, at the end of the year, I have a lot of. We do 3 or 4 events a month, but another good one is up in Minneapolis. We do the Renegade GT with the Snafu guys and the Snafu podcast guys, and we really have a fun time up there. And it's only the venue is only 5 minutes away from my sister's house, so
how convenient! It all works out.
It's a win.
Is there any good place that people can go to kind of find one consolidated list for Warlord type games like Blood Red Skies, Bolt Action, and things like that?
Sure. Go to www.warlordgames.com, the website, and go to the very bottom, and it says, do you get our newsletter? Why not? Put your email address in there, and you'll get an email. You'll get a newsletter every Wednesday and Friday. You get 2 newsletters a week, and somewhere on there there's an events tab, and I try to get all the events I can in there when we can. And if you have an event that's going on near you, you plug it in there. Richard and his crew, George and Sarah and all those folks do a damn good job of trying to stay ahead of things. And Richard loves Blood Red Skies, and we swap stuff back and forth all the time. And I have to go over 2, 3 times, 4 times a year just to make sure I'm intact and I know what's going on with the HQ guys. So we need to sit
Excellent.
down a lot.
Well, if you need someone to carry your bags, I'm
copy.
sure I could. I'm sure I could do that.
Yeah.
Brett might want to go.
There's a reason why I carry two suitcases. One's always empty. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Come back with lots and lots of product.
Yep.
Well, John, we really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us tonight. I know
Anytime, guys.
we're all over the page with a lot of cool different things, and hopefully there's some information out there that guys hadn't heard yet. But we definitely will. Yeah, exactly. We'll definitely get back with you, especially as MiG Alley rolls out and more people kind of get their hands on the game to start playing with it and asking questions and saying, hey, what if? Yeah. What about this airplane? What about this scenario? To see where it's looking.
Yeah, it's looking like I'm going to be out in California on the 10th of August. Out in San Diego area, there's a couple stores there. I'm going to be out there for the release of Korea, and of course I'll swing by the stables where Reckless is buried and drop a flower or two. And Mitch will be doing a simulcast kind of thing with the release of MiG Alley at the Pentagon, I think the week after when it comes out. So we're trying to mesh these two together, and it's a lot of fun. So if you're not doing anything out in California, you're not doing anything out in the Pentagon, swing on by.
Well, that just totally conflicts with our planned wargaming day, but we'll figure something out. I think I'm finding some airline points to go to San Diego. Who wants to go to San Diego with me?
There you go.
Are you paying?
Yeah, That's exactly. Right. No, this is not Adepticon. Doesn't work that way.
Come on. Yeah. Adepticon is it is the largest it's the largest, what do I always say? It's the Mac Daddy. It's the largest independent convention in the United States. It is
right. It's amazing. It's
yeah.
And I'd rather do, and the other thing, guys, and I know we before we go, I'd rather do one Adepticon or 9 or 10 small little cons like NashCon or DieCon or Genghis Con. I love going to these little cons, 200, 300, 400 people, and I get more time to talk to people. I get more time to show things, and I think we get a bigger exposure than one Gen Con, because I'm not knocking Gen Con. Gen Cons are great. It is the mecca of all gaming in the United States and North America, and it's great, but it wasn't what it used to be. And I don't know if you guys have been to Gen Con lately, but the best analogy for me is that Bob and Tom and Jerry and Sheila all want to go play D&D at Ricky's place, but Bob has got a new book he wants to talk about, and Ricky's got a new movie, and Sheila's got a pizza, and we sit down and eat the pizza, watch the movie, and we don't play a lick of role playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not historical. Historicon is for that. Historicon it did a great job. The venue was great. The room for the vendors was great. The playing room had some issues for sound, but I mean, who doesn't when you put 100 tables and about 500 guys in there trying to play the same game, or different games. So
yeah, I wish I'd kept that on my schedule, but I just had too many other things that had been planned.
And people were kind of bitching a little bit about parking, but the great thing about the parking was if you parked it next to the place, it was only like a block and a half walk. And if that was full, they told you to go someplace else, and you could get your parking validated. So parking was free.
Yeah.
So it was a good event, and it was a good change. And thank God the vendors hall had carpet. That's all I can say. Oh, and then like it was a a Saturday, I think the HMGS guys bought a keg of beer for everybody. So
even
right
better.
Next to our booth.
Exactly.
So I mean, people coming by the booth, it was a captive audience.
And all of a sudden, you're the most popular booth there. It's weird how that works out. Well, awesome.
Okay, guys, I'll shut up now. I'm sorry.
No, sounds good. So could we. But I know Chris has to ditch out of here. He's probably already running on his way out because I know he has a couple things to do. We appreciate you taking the time.
Anytime. I'm here for you guys.
It's awesome. So we'll get you back on and we'll talk about a couple of the other things we want to pick your brain about for some spoilers. But for now, I really want to thank you for being on here. Thanks for our listeners for putting up with us on the Lead Pursuit podcast and throwing your questions our way. And if any of you have questions for John that we didn't answer this time around, shoot that to us on Facebook, Instagram. You can also leave us comment forms on the website, and we'll definitely address those the next time we get you on. Thanks, John. Thanks.
Get ready for Andy, because you've got a crafty man. So get ready.
That might have to be broken into a couple segments when we talk to him.
Excellent. Okay, guys. Hey, have a great night. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Really appreciate it.